Hello, Scorpio. I know you. I know the way you can stand in a crowded room with a steady gaze, speaking of how you have moved on, how the past is nothing but a shadow you have left behind. Yet deep inside, where no one is allowed to look, there is still that quiet corner you have not touched. In that corner lives the memory of someone who once walked out of your life and someone who left a space you could not fill no matter how many new distractions you placed over it. You may tell yourself that time has healed you, that your heart is free, but the truth is you still carry the hope that one day they might return. And you still feel the ache when you imagine their face. There is a certain stillness in the way you hold that hope. Scorpio, a stillness that feels like control but is really the fear of what it means to let it go. You have been told that endings are absolute, yet you resist this one because part of you still believes that the story is not finished. The silence between you feels temporary, like the pause before the next chapter. But the deeper truth, the one you have avoided, is that the silence is permanent. What stands between you and that person now is not distance, not misunderstanding, not even pride. It is something far greater, something you cannot bargain with or outthink. This barrier is not punishment, it is protection. Call it God, call it the universe. Call it the quiet force that has always guided you in moments when you could not guide yourself. It has drawn a line you are not meant to cross. It knows the parts of you that were lost in that connection, the parts you silenced, the parts you made smaller so you could keep the peace. And it refuses to let you return to that place again. You think you miss them. But what you are really missing is the version of yourself you imagined you could be with them. Even though that version was built on sacrifice and quiet suffering, and if you went back, you would not find what you think you left behind. You would only find the same patterns in the same smallness, the same weight pressing on your light until you no longer recognized yourself. So this force holds you here in the discomfort of absence, in the slow unwinding of the bond, until you are able to see that what you thought was love was something else entirely. It is not cruelty. It is the refusal to let you accept less than what you deserve again. And I will tell you, Scorpio, when you finally stop waiting, when you release the image of their return, you will realize you have been spared from a return to hunger, to begging, to wondering why someone who claims to love you never actually shows up for you. You have been spared from believing that love requires you to lose yourself. You may not be ready to thank this unseen hand yet, but one day you will see that it was never about taking something from you. It was about clearing the space for something far better to take its place. Something that does not require you to shrink. Something that does not leave you questioning your worth. And until that arrives, this is where you are meant to be, not reaching back, but learning to stand in your own strength, trusting that what is coming will not need you to compromise your soul to keep it. Scorpio, here is the truth you have tried to avoid. The reason this person has not returned is not because they are lost, or because timing is wrong, or because there is some great misunderstanding waiting to be cleared. It is because they never truly knew how to love you, not in the way you needed, not in the way that sees all of you and still chooses to stay. They may have admired you, desired you, even said the right words at times, but they never recognized the full measure of your value. They did not see the depth of your loyalty, the richness of your emotional world, or the way you give yourself completely when you decide someone is worth it. And without that recognition, what they gave you was always partial, always conditional, always asking you to do more to earn what should have been freely offered. If they came back now, It would not be a reunion, it would be a return to the same quiet erosion of your light. You would find yourself making excuses for the moments they disappeared, convincing yourself that your needs were too much, bending your edges so they could fit more comfortably against you. Little by little, you would start to silence your voice again, to hide the parts of yourself that might make them uncomfortable, until the person you are was buried under the person you thought they wanted. And while they might offer you moments of closeness, those moments would always be surrounded by long stretches of emptiness. The kind of absence that eats away at your self-worth. The universe, God, whatever name you give it, refuses to let you walk willingly back into that. It knows that your strength, your intuition, your brilliance are not meant to be dimmed to keep someone else from feeling overshadowed. It knows that your love is a rare thing, the kind that transforms everything it touches, and that to waste it on someone who cannot hold it is to drain yourself until there is nothing left for you. So it keeps you apart, not to hurt you, but to keep you from making yourself smaller in exchange for scraps. It knows that the cost of their return would be the slow loss of your essence, and that is a price you are not meant to pay again. Scorpio, the shape of this lesson shifts depending on when you were born, because each part of your season carries its own shadow and its own kind of wound when it comes to love. For those born between the 23rd of October and the 2nd of November, the one you're being kept from represents a time in your life when you made yourself smaller just to stay close to them. You learned how to fold your voice, your needs, your opinions into something quieter, more palatable. Believing that it was the only way to keep the connection alive, you dimmed your own fire so they could feel warm without feeling threatened. And over time, that shrinking became a habit you didn't even notice you were carrying. For those born between the 3rd of November and the 12th of November, the divine protection is tied to someone who drained your creative energy and your confidence. They were a weight on your spirit, not always through cruelty, but through their inability to support or inspire you. Every time you dreamed bigger, they reminded you of limits. Every time you reached for more, they made you feel guilty for wanting it. They left you doubting your own potential, second-guessing the very talents and instincts that once made you feel alive. For those born between the 13th of November and the 21st of November, what's being blocked is the return of someone who could never honor your loyalty. You stood by them in moments when others would have walked away, and defended them when they were absent, and kept showing up long after they had stopped doing the same for you. Yet your loyalty was taken as a given, not a gift. They treated your dedication as something owed, not something to be cherished. And in doing so, they taught you the dangerous lesson that devotion can be one-sided and still called love. No matter when in Scorpio season you arrived in this world, the truth is the same. This is not about losing a person. It's about refusing to lose yourself again in the ways they once required you to. Scorpio, woven through all of these experiences, is a pattern that has been hard for you to see while you were inside of it, but clear as day when you step back. You have been willing to accept love that gives far less than what you give in return. You have called it compromise. You have called it patience. You have even convinced yourself it was strength. But in truth, it was the slow acceptance of a one-sided love. You poured yourself out completely while they offered you only fragments. The kind of attention that comes in brief, intoxicating bursts followed by long stretches of emotional drought. Those moments of closeness kept you hooked because they felt so rare and precious, but they were never enough to sustain you. You told yourself that love requires work, that you have to prove your worth by showing loyalty, by enduring distance, by forgiving inconsistency. Somewhere along the way, you began to mistake difficulty for depth, as if the more someone made you fight for them, the more valuable they must be. That is the most dangerous illusion, Scorpio, because true value is not measured by how hard it is to keep someone close, but by how easily they choose to stay. The right person will not leave you guessing. They will not ration affection like it's something you have to earn. They will not keep you hungry just so you stay at their table. The truth is, you have been settling for crumbs while calling it a feast. You have been accepting the bare minimum because it came wrapped in moments of passion or promises that never held. And every time you did, you taught yourself that this is what love looks like. Love that makes you anxious. I love that keeps you waiting. I love that leaves you wondering if you are enough. This divine barrier in your life now is meant to break that cycle, to keep you from ever again confusing the thrill of the chase with the security of being truly loved, and to show you that real love will feel like abundance, not scarcity. Scorpio, the reason this distance has been placed between you and that person is because something far better is being prepared for you, but before it can arrive, you have to become the version of yourself who can receive it without doubt, without fear, without needing to make yourself small to keep it. This is why the separation isn't just about them. It's about you. It's about your healing, about dismantling the beliefs that have made you think love has to be earned through sacrifice, about reclaiming the parts of yourself that went quiet when you were trying to make that old relationship work. As long as you hold on to the illusion that this person will return, changed, finally capable of giving you what they withheld, before you keep yourself anchored to a past that cannot grow with you, God is not denying you love. He is refusing to let you repeat the same wound under a new disguise. He knows that if you rushed into the arms of the next person without doing this work, you would carry the same patterns forward, still overgiving, still excusing neglect, still confusing intensity with intimacy. So instead, you are being asked to pause, to turn inward, and to rebuild the foundation of your self-worth until it is unshakable. This is a season where you learn to look in the mirror and see someone who is not desperate to be chosen, but who chooses themselves first. It will feel uncomfortable because healing always disrupts the familiar. Even when the familiar has been hurting you, you may still hear the echo of their name in your mind. Still imagine a version of them that finally understands, finally commits. But those images are not truth. They are the remnants of a hope you kept alive, because letting it die felt like admitting defeat. In reality, letting go is not defeat. It is the single most powerful step you can take toward the life and love you actually deserve. When you finally release that old vision, you create the space for something that will not require you to compromise your essence. Something that will meet you with the same depth, loyalty, and devotion you give so naturally. And when it comes, you will understand why the wait was necessary, because this time, you will not have to question if it is real. Scorpio, this is the moment to turn your attention away from the closed door and back toward yourself, not in a way that feels like isolation or punishment, but in a way that feels like reclamation. You have pieces of yourself scattered across old memories, conversations that replay in your mind, and compromises you made, thinking they were the price of love. Now is the time to gather them back. Remember the parts of you that used to dream without asking for permission. The parts that spoke without rehearsing every word. The parts that laughed freely without worrying if someone else would approve. Those parts are still here, waiting for you to notice them again, waiting to be brought forward into the life you are building now. When you choose yourself truly and without conditions, and you send out a signal that can only be received by those who are ready to meet you at your full height, the kind of person who will not ask you to dim your light, who will not mistake your passion for excess, who will not shrink from the depth of your love. Loving yourself fully is not about shutting the world out. It's about setting the standard for the kind of love you will allow in, and when your self-worth is steady, you naturally draw in people who see your value immediately and treat it as something precious, not as something to test or diminish. Trust that the protection surrounding you now is not a barrier meant to keep you from love, but a shield designed to ensure that what comes next is worthy of you. The old chapter has closed, not because you failed, but because you have outgrown it. Every page ahead is blank, waiting for you to write a story where you are not surviving on fragments, but living in the fullness of a love that honors every part of who you are. Let yourself believe that this is possible, because it is. And as you step forward, I know that God's hand is on your shoulder, guiding you toward what you have always deserved but may never have dared to imagine. The past is finished. Scorpio, the next chapter is already unfolding, and it is so much better than the one you're leaving behind. Scorpio, if you take nothing else from this message, let it be this: what has been taken from you was never yours in the way you needed it to be. And what is coming will not require you to lose yourself to keep it. I know how tempting it is to revisit the past, to believe that maybe if you had done one thing differently, the ending could have been rewritten. But the truth is, the ending happened exactly as it needed to. Not to punish you, but to release you from a cycle that would have kept you small. You are not being asked to forget overnight or pretend the hurt doesn't exist. You are being asked to use it. Let it sharpen your clarity, deepen your self-respect, and teach you the difference between love that depletes you and love that restores you. This pause, this absence, is not the void it feels like. It is the clearing before the arrival. It is the silence where you remember what your own voice sounds like without someone else's opinion shaping it. It is the stillness where you can rebuild the kind of life that feels good in your own skin. And when you fill that life with meaning, joy, and integrity, love will come, but it will come as an addition, not a lifeline. You will not need it to feel whole, because you will already be whole. So trust the protection that surrounds you right now. Trust that there is a timing to everything. And this moment is for you to rise into your full strength. Trust that God, the universe, or whatever name you give to the force that sees more than you can, is not keeping you from love. He is keeping you for love. And when the right person arrives, they will not be a rescue from your loneliness. They will be a celebration of the life you've built for yourself. Until then, hold your head high. Keep walking forward. And remember that the ending you're mourning is the very thing making room for the beginning you've been waiting for all along.